Hey everybody, welcome back to Slingin Dirt. If I sound a little different, it's because I sound like James Earl Jones or something like that. My allergies are kicking my butt. So we're back.
Yeah,
Wow.
vacation was good for both of us.
I actually kind of missed you.
Yeah, I know. I kind of missed you too. You know,
Yeah.
that's weird.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. Anyways. So on today's show, we're going to be talking about we have a rundown of the national champions in IMCA.
Yep, we do. And then we're gonna talk about. You said you had a good tech tip that you kind of found on accident, so
Yep.
I'm not gonna disclose what that is because I think it kind of covers some of the things we've covered in past shows, but.
Just to reiterate how important
it
it is.
affects you, you really don't know because
Yeah.
it is one of those things you take for granted.
And even you said, you're like, I need to look at that.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, big time.
I will be.
Yeah, you
For
will
sure.
be. And then we got, well, that's our tech tip. And then we got Songer Says. So stay tuned. It's Slingin Dirt. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back to Slingin Dirt TV. Slingin Dirt presented by Joe's Karting. Joe's Karting, where the only restriction is how slow you are on the track. Yeah, I did not have a good weekend this weekend.
Yeah, you had a rough couple of weeks. You know, you got your new car, so, you know, Razor Nation, you're still trying to figure that all out.
You know,
And it's hard when you try to do it at the end of the year versus when you start out the year with it, so.
everybody said that these Razor cars are fast, and they are fast. And there's some pros and cons. Well, I thought I was doing something wrong, or I thought maybe the car was just too advanced for me. And we'll get to what the issue was here in a little bit, but sad to say, it's the end of the year.
It is.
Actually, I don't even know if that's what you'd call it sad to say. I'm kind of happy the end of the year's here.
I'm ready, you know, your car's beat up, you're beat up, you've spent all your money, now it's time to kind of recoup.
Your checkbook's beat up.
Take a deep breath, get reacquainted with your family.
Oh yeah, hi. By the way,
Nice
I'm
to
your
meet
husband. You have me for the next 7 months.
That's right. But, you know.
You're probably getting ready to go out deer hunting already. If
Oh,
you haven't already been.
we have been out hunting and stuff, and that's our
Deer
other
looking
passion. And the deer looking good. It's been so warm that we really haven't hunted too much because if you do get something, you don't want to have to worry about spoiling. And you know,
It's crazy warm
It's
out.
more about the hunt than it is the kill, at least around our area.
Yeah.
You've hunted with us. That if you want to shoot a deer, you're going to shoot a deer. But
Yeah, you're gonna shoot a deer, even though you. I'll never forget the time that you, BJ, and I went up in that grove of trees behind your dad's, and we were on hands and knees.
hell
And
yeah, you got to work for it.
I remember BJ and I dragging that big doe out. We're like, down the hill's easy.
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta go up the hill.
Yeah.
So, what's the biggest thing that you think when you look back on the 2015 season? What's the biggest thing you think you've improved on, and what's the biggest thing you think you need to improve on?
We talked about this before a couple shows ago. I mean, with me, I just got to learn to drive the car harder and trust it. And I think we improved the handling of the car, although performance-wise, you know, our engine department is lacking. You know, our engine's tired. It's 6 years on one claimer motor's like incredible. So
Yeah.
it's finally puffing smoke out the breathers, which is the kiss of death. That's kind of why we didn't participate in a lot of extracurricular stuff at the end of the year, just because we don't want to blow it up. We want to have something to work with when
Yeah.
when
Something
we
to
get
rebuild.
done, you know. But I think our program improved and our shock depart, you know, packages improved. Josh helped us out with that. We still got a little tweaking to do on that. I don't want to disclose our tech tip, but that's another area we will be checking. We
Yeah.
kind of touched on it a little bit this year. We changed a couple, but we didn't, you know, do everything we should have, and I think we'll be doing that. And then also chassis-wise, some of the things we talked about changing, mounts here, shock mounts,
Yeah.
things like that need to be changed. If you look at the more modern cars, I can't just go out and buy a new chassis, but I can definitely take ours and piddle with it. You know, I have the technology to
Yeah.
cut, bend, weld, do all that kind of stuff. So we'll fart around with the chassis a little bit and play with it again next year.
You know, this year I think I did pretty good. Well, 3/4 of the year at ID, I didn't do very good.
Yeah.
I blew power glides faster than you could put them in. Old Fred Lauer, my crew
That
guy,
you did.
he can set the national speed record for taking one in and out now.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah.
Him and Jeff were
And then-
fucking going nuts doing that.
Yep. And then right there at the end of the year with the Prowler, we got a lot better. And then that very last weekly show, we thought we had something for the guys, and then of course it rained out, and now we have this new car. The only bad thing about getting a new car late in the season is you're trying to figure it out. I got 4 or 5 nights in it, and now we have 7 months off. So everything that I've learned in the 4 or 5 nights, I'm now off for 6, 7 months.
Yeah, but that might be a good thing too, because sometimes when you have a bad handling car right out of the gate, you get bad habits of trying to do certain things to counteract the bad handling.
Yeah.
Might be good for you to forget some of those, because I know that I think all of us racers do it. You get bad habits at certain tracks. It's a comfort thing.
Yeah.
But it actually holds you back. It makes you feel better, but it doesn't make you faster.
We're actually trying to find, believe it or not, I typically, the Cornerstone Classic is always my last show. Always my last show. And now, and once again, this will go back to the tech tip we're going to talk about this week.
Yeah, you want to get one more in, I know.
Yeah,
to
I
see.
want to get 2. Actually, we're trying to get 2 or 3 more in. We're thinking about going to Memphis, Missouri. We're thinking about going to Springfield, Missouri, Oklahoma, McCool. So I'm not saying that we are going there, but we are looking at it. We got to fix a couple things on the car, basically just some belts. That's something we're not looking forward to on the belts on the front end of the motor.
See, that's the one thing I was going to ask you. You asked me. Now this year you've ended up running 3 different cars
Yep.
with 3 different chassis. Basically 3 different setups, because they all kind of handle differently.
Oh yeah.
To me, I was going to ask you, do you find that, does it help you, or do you think it kind of hindered you a little bit because you're trying to, you get attached to your car,
Oh, yeah.
And when you're swapping girlfriends constantly,
We actually,
it's not a good thing. I don't think so. I think
and that's a
kinda
good
hard.
question, because on my dirt works, I don't know if you knew this, but a lot of people in racing knew that I actually had a female name for my dirt works. It was Matilda.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, well, why'd you pick the name Matilda? Because Shane Hyatt's razor, he calls his Lulu. Trevor Baker calls his Jet Mod Charlene. Now, I don't know how they came up with those names, but the reason why I called mine Matilda, it was old, it was big, it was ugly, but at the end of the race, guess who was still on the track? Matilda. It kind of reminded me of that big, fat, ugly Russian woman. Nobody finds her attractive, but man, she can get the job done at the end of the night.
See, I always call my car's always been Betsy.
Betsy?
You look at every old guy, come on, Betsy, let's just make it. Come on, we can do it.
The nice thing, to go back to your question though, it is an eye-opener, because you're right. 3 cars, 3 chassis, 3 different setups. And it's the technology in the cars that I haven't had. And so when I got into the Razor, the first night I was bad fast. I kept up with Gerald Hoffman. I kept up with Mike Dinsberger out at I-80 Speedway. It was really, really good. And then we go to Colorado, and it's like I just couldn't get out of my way. The car wanted to drive off the ends of the track. It wouldn't turn. I go to the Classic, the first 2 nights at the Classic, the car wouldn't turn. Then we keep alluding to it, but this will be part of our tech tip. We found out what the problem was, and now all of a sudden the car handles so much better. But what I've noticed on the Razor is, and I mentioned this before we went to the show here, you make one little bar change.
Yeah, you said it gets really twitchy.
It's not twitchy, it's just, you can tell the difference on the setup. Whereas, like your car or my Dirtworks or my Prowler, we would change 2 bar angles or a shock.
Right.
We would change 2 or 3 things to get that one,
the feel you
the
want.
feeling that you want.
Right.
Whereas with the Razor, you make 1 bar change and that's all you need to do to get that feeling. And so it was very responsive to changes. I like that. The sad thing is, it's the last night of the Cornerstone Classic. We fixed what we found out. We fixed the problem. The car was bad fast within 2 laps. I was going to be in the show. There was no doubt about that. I was going to be in the show coming out of the B feature, and then the alternator power steering belt broke and wrapped up around the fan. And I was like, seriously, if it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck. And then Uncle Ron from Sardis and Racing, he didn't have the belt, so we were just done for the night.
Well,
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
And
that's racing.
Yeah, and we're not for certain, but we might have chewed up the water pump when we did that. You turn the fan and it turns, and then every now and then it'll like catch and it gets a little tight, so we might have burned up the bearings in the water pump. We don't know yet.
If I was you, I would just call it a year, put the stuff away, fix it, and
Well,
go through it strategically. Because if you go out there now, you throw some belts on there and you have it happen again, then you're in the same place you were before.
Well,
Or you
I
burn
thought
the
about
water
that.
pump up and overheat the motor and blow your crate motor. And
Well, the
then,
nice thing is I've got extra water pumps. I've got extra belts. The guys are already thinking about this week. You know, even with your job, we've got all this warm weather, so everybody's trying to cram in as
Oh,
much
God, yes.
outside work as possible, and that's what's going to hurt us on the car. They're actually re-siding my house and my garage right now, so all that siding and all the tools, they're inside my garage in the stall for the razor. And so I can't even unload my razor. So if we make it, we make it. If we don't, we don't. We like to race 2 or 3 times, but it is what it is. The Dirt Works, we finished 4th in points at Osceola. Of course, Osceola, we talked about earlier in this year, it shut down permanently.
right,
The Prowler, we ended up finishing 11th in points out at I-80.
right, we finished 13th.
Yeah, the last 2 nights, we got the Prowler to come around, then all of a sudden we got this razor, and I was trying to get as much seat time in it as possible. My first initial reaction when I got the razor was to not even drive it this year. Seriously.
I seriously thought that's what you were going to do, or maybe
just park it
or
and
just
finish
take it
the year
out,
with
and
the
just
Prowler.
take it out and kind of run it softly and get it figured out, and then.
Oh no. I got greedy.
Yes. Wow, big surprise there.
I got greedy. I wanted to run that razor as hard as I could.
Well, anyways, what I think we should do, let's take a break and go pay some bills, and we're going to go right to our tech tip because I want it to remain fresh in your head
Yeah.
for everybody else and not just go there. So we'll be right back with some more Slingin' Dirt. Hey everybody, welcome back to Slingin' Dirt. It's us two knotheads again back together for this is the second last show.
Next week will be the last
show.
one.
But we're going to do a tech tip, and it's something that we've kind of touched on several times, but it affected you this time,
Yeah.
and you can tell everybody what was going on with the car, and then you can tell them how you remedied it and how you found out exactly what was going on.
So with this razor, first night out, we're really bad fast. We're keeping up with the A-mods out at I-80 on a dry slick track during a practice session. Everything's going good. I'm happier and I'll get out. We go to Colorado and all of a sudden the car won't turn. It's burying the frame into the ground. It's just, we tried everything. Now, I've helped you on the setup on your car.
Yeah.
And there's, whether you want to believe me or not is irrelevant. What's relevant is, I'd like to think I know what I'm doing on the setup. I've never had a problem with my cars not turning, and I just could not figure this thing out. Well, during the Cornhusker Classic, the Friday and Saturday, it was so bad. I told everybody out at I-80 Speedway, this car's so tight, it's about as tight as my wife's wallet when I want to buy race car parts.
Well, I had your pit crew Facebook of me because I wasn't there. I don't know if they were telling you, but Fred and Jeff were, both of them were telling me what's going on. They're like, this is not good.
It's not good.
And then, they didn't know if it was car, if it was driver. You could tell they were frustrated.
Well, we all were, and it was so bad that other teams were frustrated because they were really watching what I could do in this razor, and the car wouldn't turn. And I told everybody, like, it's so bad, it's so tight. I'm gonna put and you're gonna laugh. I was gonna put a box on the end of the car, spray paint it John Deere green, load it with corn, and next season I was gonna go put it in the fields and plow fields at 100 mile an hour and plant corn. It was so bad. I mean, it was just rutting everything up. It was tearing the track up in hot laps. It was just, it was like driving a shovel. It wasn't a dump truck, it was a shovel. So anyways, the tech tip was springs. Look at the springs.
And we've talked about this before. It's one of those things that people take for granted.
Absolutely.
You assume that they're just boingy
So-
boingy, they're all good.
Yep.
And we talked about even when you winterize your car last week, on the last week's show, we talked about winterizing the car, pulling your springs out, and putting a set of crap springs in there for rolling it around the shop and things like that.
So what happened is Sunday during the ID class, or I keep calling it ID class, the Cornhusker Classic at ID Speedway, we go to the infield, and right across my pit stall is Rosemary from Speedway Motors. Thank God Speedway Motors was there. We're chasing this thing around, and finally I talked to a couple other guys who are like, why don't you swap your front springs around? That will help free the car up going into the corner. Well, I thought about that, it made sense, so we were doing that. While we had the springs out, I told Jeff, hey, Rosemary's got a spring rate checker. Let's go over there and let's check our springs. So she puts the spring rate checker, best thing you could ever do on your springs. She puts my 500-pound spring that I had in the right front, puts it in the spring rate checker, comes in at 390 pounds.
Yeah.
My 550-pound spring that was in the left front, she put that in the spring rate checker, and that came back at 434 pounds. So at that point, they're so far off, and well, no wonder the car was
The
getting...
nose is diving in.
The whole nose is diving, and you know, right where the front bumper is, where my nose comes down, it was so bad that it actually took the actual sheet metal into the track and bent that.
Well, and you know, we talked about this before, and I've told you, my car, for some reason, it always seems like it's pushy. It takes a lot of drastic changes to get the push out of it. And we have changed some springs and stuff before, but you know how that on the right side of my car, it always rolls that 10
Yep.
under, and nobody else's car does it. And even this year, we had to make
Mine does.
the body taller, and it's still rolling it under.
I actually take my right side door down, and I actually, if the car's rolling over good, I actually look at how it rolls that right side door. It's kind of like a measuring mark for us, anyways.
Yeah, but that's partially too is if you're burying that nose, you're getting that right front all the way down there. And
So my springs are weak. Rosemary and I call him Uncle Ron from Sardison Racing. They're like, "Do you want springs?"
Yep.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. So we got the springs, and Jeff looks at me. And now you know me; I can be pretty cheap. And
Yes, you can.
So we put the two front springs in the car, and Jeff goes, "What about the rear springs?" Well, here's the deal: if I get two rear springs, old Rachel's gonna kill me. If I get two new rear springs, and he's like, "Well, do we want to test them?" No, because
You already know.
I already know.
Why put two good ones in and have two used ones? You might as well start out with all new.
So finally, I went up to Uncle Ron and Rosemary. You guys have rear springs? Yep. What do you need? Surprisingly, they had one each in each trailer, and it just happened to be the springs that the Razor setup book called for. And I was like, just give me that. So I have 4 brand new AFCO springs, and then all of a sudden we go out. Even in hot laps, you race ID weekly when the track is real greasy, slimy, there's no traction. My car would still push.
Yeah.
Just straight push. We go out in hot laps, all of a sudden the car drives like it's on rails, and I was like, oh my god, this is great. So then we go to the B feature. B feature was because when we ran the B feature, we go on the B feature first 2 or 3 laps. The car's on a rail. We are coming fast, and I was like, okay, I have all these springs back home. And the one thing I've learned about springs, I will never again go to a swap meet and buy a bunch of springs.
Yeah, we've talked about that before.
It looks great, and you think you're doing yourself a favor by
Unless
going
you
to the
have a spring checker with you at the swap meet. Then,
Yeah, and I'm not carrying around no 200-pound spring rate checker on my back. So it's your money ahead, you're farther ahead to spend the $50-$60 and just go buy the springs.
And that's just it. Springs are not that expensive, compared to a lot of components on our cars. That's one of those I would think we almost want to change every year or at least check them.
I talked to a lot of guys, and they're like, "Bud, we check our springs through the wintertime." They do exactly what you said. They'll put crappy old springs in their car, or the car will be sitting on jack stands that definitely don't need springs. But they check their springs right before, usually in January, February, right before the season starts. Halfway through the season, they measure their springs free height to see if they lost anything or collapsed, because mine collapsed horribly. And then at the beginning of the year, they'll send their springs back in. Well, so at the end of the year or the beginning of the year, somewhere in there, send your springs in. Now, Rosemary from Speedway Motors, she taught me that springs out of the box are allowed up to 7% variance. So, that sounds like a lot, but 7% on a 500 pound spring, that's a 35 pound difference.
Yeah.
So even when you buy your springs, if you can, try to put them on the spring rate checker, even brand new.
Yeah, absolutely. You always want to keep your setup
just because it's
the same as possible.
Just because it's a 500 rated spring,
right?
7%, that's 35 pounds. That could be a 470 pound spring. That's huge on your setup. On today's newer cars, your BMSs, your Razors, your Jets, your Smileys, your Hots, whatever, your Harrises, a lot of them are calling from that 0 to 30 pound bite range in the car. And so when you start putting springs in there that are 30, 40 pounds lighter than what's advertised on the box,
yeah, change everything.
Yeah, that changes everything.
I mean, all you guys that race, that it's all about weight transfer and how fast it transfers and where does it go. And if you can't do it consistently, in a constant manner, you can't be consistent. And
when I went out on the track and I'm starting to come through the B feature, Jeff and Fred are just jumping up and down on the trailer. I mean, I have other race teams that have been following what I've been doing, and they were getting all excited. And then my power steering, my alternator belt broke and wrapped itself up around the fan. I think we smoked the water pump, but we got plenty of time to fix that now. But in short, I learned, do not take your springs for granted. Oh my God. And I actually thought about your car, and I was like, I wonder if this is a lot of Jack's problem right here. Because you sit there, you were never really involved in a hard wreck of any type at I-80.
No.
So you would automatically assume that your springs are fine. Well, I was talking to another kid, Gunnar Pike, and he had the same thing happen with his springs. And he's like, Bud, seriously? I'm racing for 2 or 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden my car goes away.
Right.
And I looked at everything on the car, and then I took my springs and they collapsed. Just like that.
Yep.
They just
like
collapsed.
I said, I don't have a spring checker in my shop or anything. I did change a few springs this year, but I put 1 or 2 new ones in and still have 1 or 2 old ones, and I think you might be onto something. So when we go through my car this winter, we'll take a look for shits and giggles. We'll go put them on a tester and see what it really has. Just so you know, it's one of those things you got to know if it's right or if it's wrong. But anyways, everybody, that's our tech tip of the week. So don't take your springs for granted.
Tell you what, we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, I'm going to talk about I-76 Speedway. Oh boy.
There you have it. Rocky Mountain Low.
Yeah. So we'll be right back here on Slingin' Dirt.
At Kaziski Auto Parts Team PRP, this is where everything starts with our quality control, staying clean, and everything is organized right here in the teardown. At Kaziski Auto Parts, in our Step 2 process, this is where our guys take the engines and trannies out. They power wash and make sure everything tests good and clean so you have no problems for your vehicle. This is Step 3 at Kaziski Auto Parts. This is where everything, again, is organized, put on the shelf properly, tagged right. And if you notice how clean everything is, so it suits you, because we're not a junkyard, we are a recycled auto parts store. This is our last and final step here. This is the shipping and receiving. This is the last part where the part gets checked one last time, so 3 people will touch your part before it goes out the door, packaged properly, and sent right to your door. Kaziski Auto Parts Team PRP. We have over 1,000 cars in stock a year, over 1,000 engines and trannies. Give us a call anytime, 402-731-4592. Any one of our 10 salesmen can help you at any time.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Slingin' Dirt. We don't have a driver interview this week, but we talked about it at the beginning of the show. We both took some time off.
Right.
I went to Colorado.
Well, I went on vacation. You went on
A racecation.
Racecation.
That's a new word.
A racecation.
The racecation. So we went October 1st. We left Thursday took Rachel to all the sites in Colorado. Holy crap, it rained, foggy, drizzly, 50 degrees, in upper 40s. It was miserable. Raced Saturday and Sunday. Saturday was cold, overcast, windy. Sunday, it was pretty nice. Monday, went back to Colorado Springs, took her up in the high country, in the mountains. It was beautiful. Wow. But anyways, I-76 Speedway. This is one of those tracks. If you think you're good on the dry slick, oh boy, go there. I-76 Speedway has got to be, without a doubt, and there's a lot of good tracks here. Speedway, Eagle, Harlan, Denison. We are so babied here. We have so many tracks to go to, and we race on a lot of dry slick, dusty tracks.
Yep.
And our tracks around here are pretty good tracks. But without a doubt, I-76 is the smoothest dry slick track I've ever seen in 23 years of racing. And it's, pardon my French, but it's a bitch to tame. I told everybody, like, back home where I come from, we'll take this track 3-4 wide. I still think you can go 3-4 wide on that track. The promoter doesn't think so.
Well, you was saying that those guys up there don't even get door rubs on them. They give each other so much room, and you talked about the dry slick track, and I would imagine that has a lot to do with it, because if you bust loose on a dry slick track, you know what that means. You're not just hopping a little bit, you're sliding up 6-8 feet.
No, we've gone out to I-80 or Eagle or whatever when it's dry slick and smooth, and you know, on a fairly smooth track or even a really smooth track, you still got a little variation in the track surface. It's kind of wavy at times.
Sure.
So you go to I-76, it's not that. I mean, it's
like a paved highway.
It is literally like a paved highway.
Now you also said there isn't a lot of banking there and no rails.
No, I wouldn't consider. There's no rails on the outside. Now you got your front wall. Kind of reminds me of a baby version of Denison. Because when you come around turn 3 all the way through turn 4, it's got banking there. I wouldn't say a lot. They consider it high banked. It's not high banked. The best way to describe it is Stewart Speedway out of Stewart, Iowa.
Right.
3 and 4, when you go into 3, you go up on the banking, and then instead of going up on the banking and then down on the backside, it goes up and then it's more shelf. And you probably got a 40-foot shelf to the outside wall.
So you got a swimming pool, basically.
Kind of, but even swimming pools have more banking than this track. You go into turn 1, and you guys can see this because
you're going to show some footage.
Yep, I've got footage. So you'll see as we're going around the track here, where you go into turn 1, and same thing. You go up. There's a little bit of a downward slope, but not much. The back straightaway, it's kind of like Osceola, but on the back straightaway, there's really not much banking, and then it's just wide open spaces. So you can come off the track at turn 2 and go in the pits. You can come off the track at turn 3 and go in the pits. You can come off the track anywhere in turn 4 and go in the pits. There's a lot of room there.
So they pit on the outside then?
Yeah, they pit on the outside of the track. The best way to describe the surface, I have a visual in my head, but people may not understand it. So the best visual, you go out onto a blacktop highway. And when you go out onto a blacktop highway and you look at the blacktop and you can see the little holes in the blacktop, stuff like that, that's what the track looks like. And when you go on a blacktop highway and you feel, even when you take your car, like your new Dodge Dart, out there, you can feel how smooth that is. There's not a lot of this or a lot of this, and it's just a smooth blacktop. That's what their surface is like.
So you're not getting the track that gets rutted up, from the different classes throwing that car in there, and there's no spring-fed, water hole in turn 1.
No, it is so smooth. And Bill Smith and Brian Cross and Jacob Feller, all these guys, they're like, you can't run the high side. You can't run the high side. I still say you guys are wrong. You can run the high side. I did it in one of the videos. Watch Bill Smith's video. I did it in the high side, although he did say that was a rarity that the high side came in like that. Okay. So you take some of our guys out there, and I sincerely think that our guys could run the track high side. But you got to remember, I've never been to the track before, so it was a whole new experience. And the best way I describe the surface on the track, now in the video here, I talk about there being little granite marbles or rocks in the dirt, but you don't see a lot of that. Here we have a lot of loam, loess, brome, clay type tracks here. out there, if you go to your local Menards, Home Depot, and you break open a 5-pound bag of Quikrete and you get that powdery
fine dust.
That's what you race on, but it doesn't get dusty. It doesn't get dusty. Butch does an amazing job on track prep. It is just the slickest damn track I've ever been on. Very smooth. You don't have to worry about any ruts or holes or anything like that. Which shocked me because around here with the modifieds running those 450, 500 pound front springs, we're digging into the track. That's where a lot of these ruts are coming from. Not out there. They race every other week on Saturday nights. And some of the nicest guys I've ever met in racing. Not that we don't have them here, but out there, they are just, the best way to describe it, these are the guys that work together, drink together, hunt together, fish together. About the only guy that doesn't do anything together with any of them is the Oompa Loompa himself, the junior Papa Smurf, Brian Cross. I'm not telling you. When Brian's a special creature all to himself. So, but that's a whole nother show.
All right, well, with that being said, let's take a break. We'll show some video, and then we'll be right back with some more Slingin' Dirt.
Here at Fort Morgan, Colorado, I-76 Speedway now. I got a pretty good group of guys with me here, except for Papa Smurf down here on the right side of the screen here. What's your name again?
Brian Cross.
Brian Cross?
Yep. Superstar, we call him.
Superstar. We got Bill Smith, driver of the 51 airplane-looking B-Mod. Actually, your car goes pretty good. For an older Dirtworks, it goes.
For a dinosaur?
What are you talking about?
$20,000 B-Mod over here.
Yeah,
Can't even win a championship.
Yeah.
Man.
And then Zach Smith, track announcer from I-76 Speedway. Zach, how long you been here announcing?
This is my 5th year announcing here at the track.
Have you noticed that the car counts are getting better, or are they going down?
Definitely downward.
Definitely
Yeah,
downward.
we've seen it. The sport mod class is probably one of our growing classes that we've had here, but the other classes have definitely dropped out. We've dropped the street stock class we had here today. We used to get 30 of those on a normal night. We're on a
really?
B show, and yeah, we're down to 6 in the state. So
Wow.
it's just, yeah, it's gone downhill, just slowly, steadily downhill every year.
You've been here, what, 2 years? 3 years?
3 years.
What do you think is causing the decline in the car count here?
You know, I don't know. It takes money to run, and
Yeah, that it does. Well, you guys aren't really located near a major metro area.
Correct.
You take a lot of these, back in Iowa and Kansas, even Nebraska, you'll see a lot of farm towns that support the racing. But I was looking through some stuff, and you don't see a lot of Brush, Colorado racers. You don't see a lot of Fort Morgan, Colorado's. It's Greeley, Denver, way down south, Oompa Loompa land for this guy.
Right.
Yep.
That's a long ways away.
Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
Oh,
Right
yeah,
here.
this guy's-
So I tell you what, you guys have a really cool track. If you guys ever, y'all are following me on Slingin' Dirt, come out to Fort Morgan, I-76 Speedway. It gets really dry slick. Stewart Speedway back in Iowa, I've always said it's got one of the nicest surfaces. It gets a little dusty. This might be the smoothest racetrack I've ever raced on. And it's got a little bit of banking, but don't let it
But he
fool
learned a
you.
lot today.
Yep.
It don't work. It don't work. I don't
Right
care.
around the tires.
Yeah, you got to be on the inside tires. I mean, talk to Papa Smurf over here; he'll tell you.
Yep. I'll float the left front over the tires any
Yep.
chance I get, and then I'll even break bird cages with the right rear tire running over the tires.
The one thing I've noticed about all the classes now, Zach, before I go into that, tell us what all classes you guys run here.
So every weekend we run the Econo class, which is similar to the hobby stocks you guys have back east. Pretty similar rules. They run a wider tire, a little bigger carburetor, but pretty much the same. We had some hobby stocks here today that ran just as quick as our Econo class. We run the Sport Mod division, which is probably now our biggest class on a
I would
weekly
say,
basis.
from what I've seen, yeah.
Correct, yeah. And we've got the A Mod class. We used to pull 30 mods a week. Now we're down to 15 to 18 any given weekend. And so it's just steadily dropped off. And the 270 micros, the little sprint cars we had here today, they're almost an every week deal, and they're bringing tons of cars every week. They got close to 30 of them in their
Last
crew.
race had 37.
Yeah, when they say 270, are they talking 270 cc? Because
Yes.
we've never
Yeah.
heard of them back
Yep.
east in
Yeah,
Iowa.
that's what it is.
They're big back in Pennsylvania and stuff like that too. back
Now,
in.
is that like a Rocky Mountain Association sanctioning body
It's
or
like
something
270 Outlaws, I
Yeah,
think.
they have their own little sanction. Colorado Outlaw 270s is what their sanction is called, their group. So, and then we also have the dwarf cars, and that's another big class we've had here. We've actually split them up into a sportsman division and a pro division, kind of splitting up the drivers who've raced longer are in the pro division. The rookies are in the sportsman division to make it a little more competitive for them. But instead of having them out there finishing 12th, 13th, 15th every week, now they've got a class of their own where they can run up front. and
Yeah,
have
it gives
fun.
them a chance to have a chance to win something
Correct.
as opposed to racing for 10.
Drive around people more
Yeah.
your skill level.
You know, back where I come from in Iowa and Nebraska, we all get along really, really tight out there, but we are so fiercely competitive that, you know, at times if you're not dinging a rear quarter panel on a modified or putting a wheel mark on somebody's door, you're just not racing very hard. And I come out here and it seems like everybody gets along.
We respect each other.
Yeah,
It takes money to come out here and race, and we respect each other's equipment.
Respect each other, their equipment, and you know their
Start
your
races
car.
on time.
Yep.
Yeah, because we started on time both days, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We've got that down. We've
Yeah.
got that down.
You care
Butch
to
runs a
elaborate on
tight
that,
ship.
Brian?
I'm good on that one.
So back to you, buddy, saying how unique this place is.
Yeah.
So our top modified drivers, John Hansen, Ricky Alvarado, if you ask them what is the toughest track to win on that they've raced on, they will tell you right here at 76 Speedway. It's just a tricky little place to run on. One of the smoothest, like you said, tracks. Butch puts a lot of time into this place. But like I said, they will tell you that this is the most tricky place you can race at. And if you can win here, they say you can win anywhere.
Well, I was telling everybody, I think I mentioned to you, Bill, last night over a couple adult beverages, that this place reminds me of and I wouldn't laugh because I can go into what happened last night with you.
Yeah.
But back home in Iowa, like I said, this place is a lot like Stewart Speedway, and Stewart doesn't, well, they have a wall all the way around the outside. You know, and you guys don't have that here, but back in Stewart, we could run 2, 3, sometimes 4 wide, and on occasions we ran 5 wide on a track like this. But when you come out here, it is very tricky because you think you can go to that high side, and you can't, but
It's just not
it's a
there.
very bottom 1-lane track. But now back home in Nebraska and Iowa, we complain about the bottom 1-lane follow the leader type track, but it's still very racy. So even when you're on the bottom, there's at least 2 lanes. I was watching that behind you today. Bill's leading
behind
the
me.
lane. Yeah, behind, yeah. Yeah.
I got $10.
Yeah.
That was the bet, huh?
That was the side bet,
Oh,
$10.
wow, 10
I drug him all the way up from Iowa and whipped his ass.
For $10.
$10, yeah. So, but no, with that being said, like I said, when you're on the very bottom here, there's still at least 2 lanes on the very bottom, but it's a very, very racy track.
Yeah,
and the one thing,
and that 2 lanes is half the lanes over the tires.
yeah, half a lane over the bottom tires. The one thing I've noticed, I mean, even on a small bull ring, you're gonna have, you know, drivers getting into each other, whether it be here or a 4/10 mile track or wherever you go. But it seems like for the most part, everybody gives everybody room here. That was really, really cool. I mean, I know in that B feature today, we had a lot of fun right until you got me at the last lap.
A lot of fun.
You needed that yellow flag like nobody.
I was coming regardless. I'm telling you, I was not far off your click when I had that
So
yellow
did
flag.
I motivate you when you knew I was up in the front and you were in the back and you're like,
Dang right.
We could see it. We could see Bill
The
driving.
bumper was coming from anybody my way. I'm
Like
not
you
letting
passed
Buddy
5
beat
cars
me.
on the first lap. You were
Yeah.
on the
Yep.
outside. Bill's going to the front.
yeah, when
I
I
was
pulled in
coming.
pits, everybody's going, we've never seen Bill drive that hard.
Tony Shaver.
I don't think anybody's seen Bill
Tony
drive
Shaver
that hard.
checked up a little hard up here in the high side, and I hammered him with the bumper, and he got out of my way, and I was gone.
He's like, here I come, bud. So, all right, I've never been here. Now, you guys have never seen me race, obviously, because I'm 500 miles up back east, but all in all, A to F, what would you give my effort this weekend?
Effort? I give you an A,
Yeah, I'd give your A, effort for.
because you came.
Yeah, you got
I'd give you an A because you stuck it to the high side the whole time.
Yeah.
Just trying to make it work. You almost had it.
E for effort.
It was like you'd never seen a YouTube video here.
And sadly, I've watched every one of them.
Right.
I've studied the track. I'm like, everybody's on the bottom. Why don't they just go to the high side and run the high side? Yeah, I found that out. It don't
Came
work.
in last night. It was all right
Yep.
last night.
It's a
but
rare.
It's a rare occasion that you have a high side, because normally the mods dust it, and there's nothing there.
Yeah, no.
It's like it doesn't hold the moisture as well up there or something.
Well, our tracks back home in Iowa and Nebraska, we don't hold a lot of moisture on the high side, but there's usually somewhat of a cushion up there, or like last night in the.
Well, Butch rolls that in, and I think he rolls it in fear, because if you jump the cushion, you wreck a lot of stuff. And I think it keeps from tearing up equipment.
Well, because I was driving around this afternoon going, man, there is about a 6-inch cushion up there, but it's like the track goes up, and then there's kind of like a shelf, and then the cushion.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that ain't gonna work very well. And then last night, we were talking, and I don't think it was so much tacky up on the high side as it looked like there was a bunch of little dimples, like a golf ball dimples all over the track.
That's from like the sheep's foot, how he sheep's footed.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like little cones of dirt all around the track, and it gave you traction, and it worked pretty good, but I thought it was more crumbly than anything, but man, it was fun on the high side last night.
You were flying last night.
Yeah, well, yeah, you got going on the high side last night.
After I cut that tire down, I came back out. I was got some speed up there, but I just didn't have 3 laps left to get there.
Now, in the heat race, I'm going to admit this, because Bill Smith's going to blow my Facebook up, and I know Brian Cross will too. So Cross and I are on the front row for the heat race. Now I know Cross here has won 4 features, albeit I was told it was from the pole, but that's here or there. So we go into turn 3. Now they have a cone rule here in turn 4. They got a fluorescent orange around a tire. They got a mark on the wall. And you come around, they want you to take it nice and easy. And when I say nice and easy, like nice and easy, you come all the way around, and then once the front row hits that cone rule or their line in turn 4, then you can power up and take off. Well, I'm doing the I-80 Eagle Raceway Harlan Denison whatever track out in Iowa deal where we go into 3, and you found out we go into 3 and I power up, I shoot down, and it's gone with the wind. They don't do that here. They don't like that here, and trust me, they will put you to the back. We found that out.
They put you both to the back.
Right, both
Yeah,
on the front row.
put front row goes to the back. But once we got going around the cars, we were actually coming through the field pretty good. And I was actually, when I was like, well, who's this little 78 guy? And they're like, that's Brian Cross. I'm like, well, I think he's won features out here. So you were actually motivating me, because I was trying to push the car to follow you. And then I'm sitting there watching everything you're doing 2 pit stalls over. And I'm like, well, Bill gets around here pretty good. What are we going to do here? And then you tell me in the qualifying feature, I'm coming. Where are you starting? Second row inside. I'm dead last. Or way in the back, something like that. But
Last.
all in all, now, I didn't get a chance to switch gears. I didn't get a chance to try the track food. My wife has fed me pretty good while we've been out here. So tell us about your track food, because back home in Iowa, Nebraska, we always talk about our track food.
Right. So we just got the basic burgers. I think the biggest thing here would probably be the Frito pie. The chips with the chili, the cheese.
Walking tacos, as we call it.
I think it's a little different. Walking tacos, is that Doritos with some tacos?
Yeah, well, yeah, but we also do that with some Fritos also.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So basically the
We're
same thing.
Iowegians.
That's probably our biggest track food is the Frito pies. And then now they're putting it on the fries, so chili cheese fries is probably the biggest hit. In the grandstands anyway. I don't get to go to the pits during the races and grab food. But
You guys have those little fried cheese balls?
No.
Oh, we have that. Back home, a lot of our tracks have the fried cheese balls. We got the standard nachos. You ever go to Boone Speedway, Boone, Iowa? You got the ribeye steak sandwiches. It's a ribeye steak wrapped in a hoagie and for $7 and
$7? That's a deal for a
Hell yeah.
ribeye.
for a ribeye, for a true I mean, it's not shaved ribeye meat, it's the steak. They fold it in half, put it in a hoagie bun. Here you go. I mean, yeah, it's good stuff. So now you guys have another race coming up here in a few weeks. It's going to be the Turkey
Trot.
Or Turkey Trot. You going to be here for that?
I don't know. We'll see.
Sure will.
We might be tearing the
Sure. No, you're going to be driving or playing with your Hot Wheels.
Probably both.
Probably. So, okay, before we go into the Turkey Trot, and I'm going to ask you that, I want to know exactly what happened last night after the races shut down, and something about how you got woken up this morning or something. What happened there?
Well, we, I don't know, somehow I ended up in bed, and then...
with another man.
No. We're sleeping on air mattresses in the race trailer.
You and the guy are sleeping on air mattresses?
Well, he's
Together.
at one end of the trailer, I'm over here in the middle of the trailer. All right.
He's in the middle.
I wake up to some sounds going on outside on my trailer, and and well, I could kind of figure out what was going on real quick. And somebody put some bolts through the latches on my trailer, and
They locked you in the trailer?
Locked me in my trailer.
How long were you locked in the trailer?
Oh, about 30 seconds.
Oh. Did you start crying?
No,
They were
no,
wailing for help.
No, I just
I could hear it from my trailer. Help!
no. There's somebody walking by. I was like, could you please kindly open our trailer up for me, please?
I would have charged you $10. I lost it.
Any ideas how that happened? Any ideas how that happened?
No, not really.
Do you know who did it?
I do.
But you're not gonna say.
I have a pretty good suspicion of who it is.
Well, I was at the motel this morning, feeding my face. He can vouch for that.
I was
see
eating
there.
breakfast too.
Somebody said they were going to be here at 9 o'clock scaling their car, and it was about 9:30. I didn't see nobody.
Yeah, well, I stayed up a little late last night.
That was a little bit.
Yeah. So now the turkey trot, you got that coming up. That's in November.
November 28th.
November 28th.
Yes.
Is this the first year for that, or the?
I believe this is the third year, but we haven't done them consecutively. I think
Okay.
we've skipped a few years. And so we're trying it again this year, Saturday the 28th. And 1,500 to win modifieds on Saturday.
Yep, 500.
You think you're gonna pull some decent odds for that? It's kind of late in the year.
Right. We'll probably get what we had probably for this
10,
race.
15 mods.
Yeah, that's what
I don't know though, because we don't got Hayes going on. We might get
Yeah,
a few
sure.
more.
We might.
We're
Hayes
struggling
took.
with Hayes.
I think Hayes took a few of our cars.
Yep, Hunter didn't show up.
Yeah, Hunter. You got
Hunter
the
Hansen,
Bracks.
the Bracks.
Yeah.
So Will and Greg, is it?
Will and
Greg?
Matt.
Or Will and Matt Brack. They raced here then?
Yep, they raced.
Yeah, they've gone out to ID Speedway. They've been to Harlan and whatnot. They're bad fast.
Yeah,
Hunter
they are.
Marriott, he's been over in Iowa. He's bad fast. Do you guys ever get like Tim Ward out here?
No.
You know who I'm
Right,
talking about.
right.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't pull any of those guys.
So who are you got the Alvarado? Did I see Dominic Ursetta
Yep,
here?
Dominic
Yes.
Ursetta, Eddie Bellick, Jeremy Freer.
Jeremy Fernier.
Yep.
Now he was top 10 or top 15 in the nation in the mods or
I think so.
this year, I think. Now you guys have a top 10 driver in the sport mods.
Yep, Ryan Mosier.
Ryan Mosier. That's the 18C.
Yes.
Yeah, he
Won the fall
man,
classic.
Yeah,
He's pretty dominant this year. He's tough to beat.
He had a terrific year.
very, very, very smooth. So, looking forward, you're getting married.
Yep.
By the time y'all have seen the show, he is a married guy.
Yep.
So I'm just kind of curious, do you get to keep the race car and continue racing?
Yep.
Yep.
He's let me buy a new one this winter.
What are you gonna get?
I don't know yet. I got my eyes on a couple.
You got your eyes on a couple.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
That's why I might not make the turkey trot. I might be tearing a car down for another.
Oh. So next year.
That claimer is coming.
Yeah,
That claimer beat that crate.
Yeah. So, what's your long-term future for you? Do you want to move up to a mod? Anything? Or are you just content with where
I'm
you're
content where I'm at.
What about you?
I think it's a competitive
Probably
class.
next year will be my last year in sport.
at? And then what?
We'll be going A-Mod racing.
I thought you came from A-Mods.
Nope, this is my second year in sport mod, and I pretty much came from hobby stuff.
Oh, okay. Now, you don't really race anywhere else though, do you, Bill?
Holyoke, and I have raced the new buyers track this year.
All right. What about you?
Pretty much local stuff. I went to Hayes at the beginning of the year for Sunflower. We went out to Lexington and North Platte, which is a really nice track.
Now, when you guys say local, if you're in my neck of the woods and you say, well, where's your local track? I'm like, I don't know. Pick any one of the 50 that's within 3 hours of here. We're pretty spoiled. But when you're out here in Fort Morgan, Colorado, would you consider Hayes, Holyoke, Callahan, El Paso, would you consider that kind of the local area?
I'd say local's pretty much within about 200 miles or so of us.
So local area is 200 miles. Local for us, we're pretty fortunate having a local area, within 50 miles in any
Closest track
direction.
normally for me is about 60 miles from my house to here.
Wow, 60 miles. Well, that's not too bad. I mean,
That's about an hour drive.
yeah. So, do you plan on racing anywhere else next year? Going out of state?
We're gonna try to make Sunflower again, maybe Beatrice.
Maybe Beatrice.
Yep.
You're gonna come. Oh, you're gonna come to my neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. How about you? If he's
I'll be
coming,
there.
so
I'm gonna
you
come
are
beat you on your own turf
you are gonna come.
with the claimer.
There you go. The Colorado boys think they can take
I'm gonna-
the Eastern Nebraska, Iowa boys.
Laying down the challenge.
I just say you.
Yeah.
Oh, you. Well, so,
you and your matched valve springs. I'm gonna beat the daylights out of them again.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
you guys,
some wicked carburetor, some trick carburetor stuff.
slightly.
I mean,
So,
rocket science.
talk about your guys' sponsors, because I'm sure without your sponsors, you guys would not be here.
You're looking at him. I'd pay for every dollar on that car.
Really? I thought I'd seen a name or two on your car.
Just Extreme Auto Works did the wrap 2 years ago for me.
Well, I was too busy staring at the pinup girl on the side of your door. It gives me something to look at in the lineup sheet. How about you?
Well, I got a couple people help me. My biggest help is Bart Competition Karting. They're out of West Milford, New Jersey.
It's a karting place?
Second largest karting shop in the world.
Oh, okay. Now, are they like indoor rental carts, or are they
No,
like
they're oval.
they're
circle track.
oval type
Yep.
car? Oh, okay.
Yep, and then I got a small painting company, do it now, painting and maintenance. Then I got Peak Performance, helps me out with my engines.
That's a lie.
He helps me out.
What about Mr. Lewis?
Well, yeah, currently we're running an old.
He helps me out.
Yeah, he helped me out on my open motor. Currently I'm running an old crate engine that's over 100 nights old from
It's just broken where we come from.
Yeah. Jerry and Stephen Lewis are helping me out with that, and then I get some help from BSP.
So for the folks out there, now we have a lot of viewers in Colorado that may not have been here. We got a lot from Iowa and Nebraska. I want to hear from you three individually. Why should people make the pull out to Fort Morgan?
Because you'll never race another track like it, just like Zach said earlier. It is a unique track.
I would have to agree. It's different, and it's an experience, and it's kind of how Butch runs the show and how he does things is it's right, and it's just good, consistent racing week in, week out.
Zach?
I'd say the same thing. This place it's awesome. This is where I've been in here since I was in Huggies watching the races here.
Yep.
And it's just super smooth. Butch does a terrific job with this place. One of the best that you can come to in Colorado, in my opinion. And the way he runs the show, it's all about the show. He makes it about the show, and he's to a T to get this thing done in on time, and everybody's having a great time.
And very rarely will you see a rough track here.
Yep.
Yeah, that I could see that firsthand. The one thing I do want to mention about Butch. Butch, if you're planning on getting a pat on the back, holding hands and blowing sweet nothings in your ear, Butch is not that promoter.
Right.
When you see
His
the
way or the
sign,
highway.
it's his way or the highway, and that is putting it mildly.
Right.
Butch is
I'm at
always
the
right.
driver's meeting yesterday, and my wife looks at me, she goes, "Honey, read that sign." I was like, "Yeah, back home we just got no crybabies allowed." He's like, "If you like our track, we would love to have you back. If you don't like our track, don't waste your time or mine, just don't come back."
Right.
Well, that's putting it straight, just blunt.
Yep.
Yeah.
But he seems like, he knows what he's doing. He's a smart guy. He just doesn't want to take no rough off anybody.
Correct.
And in today's world, and you guys have all seen this on Facebook, somebody will have a bad night at a track, and all of a sudden the track's a joke. They don't do this, they don't do that, yada yada yada. Well, I'm the first one to say that no track is perfect, and every track can get some tweaks, but every track's got its own unique character. That's a good way of putting it. In this place, this is a fun track. Now, for a lot of you guys that don't know, I grew up for about a year in Brush, and so this is kind of a homecoming for me.
Wow. In Brush, huh?
I went to school at Thomas Secondary School in Brush for about a year, and then somewhere over there across the interstate, I lived out in the country. This is about 83. Now, I could hear the cars, and this was when it was Morgan County Raceway. And I could see the glow of the lights in the sky, and I could see the trucks heading to Denver on the interstate, but I couldn't actually see the cars or the track. I could just see and I could hear the track.
Right.
And so I always knew there was a racetrack here. And then about 2 years ago, you got a hold of me, and you're like, "Well, I race at I-76. I'm like, where's that at?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." That's on that night we were on the phone for, till 5 in the morning.
That was a late night.
That was a late night, yeah.
Scaling a car. That was a late night.
So I tell you what, we're gonna take it back to the studio. It's getting a little chilly out here, and I'm getting a little hungry. So we'll be right back. We're gonna talk to our sponsors.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Slingin Dirt here on Slingin Dirt TV. Dirt. So, what did you think of I-76?
Seems pretty interesting, you know. It's like you said, it's an IMCA track,
Yeah.
and they run bi-weekly. So if any of the guys, you know, wanted to take a little racecation,
Racecation.
it would be a good place to go hang out. And
One thing I did not mention earlier in the show is when you start the races at I-76, go about 10 or 15 mile an hour all the way
yeah,
through.
talk to the locals and don't jump the start. That's
Yeah.
what he's saying, because even if you're the pole sitter, you can jump the start. Apparently.
Yeah. So just make sure you and the front row guy, you're about 10 to 15 mile an hour. They got the big white tractor there, neon paint, can't miss it. Once you hit that line, then take off. It's not like back here where you can power up in turn 3 and then come down, turn 4 together, and start
Yeah,
the race.
so basically he's saying is talk to the people, make sure you have the right information, because they don't do things the same that they do around here.
No, it's a little different, but it's seriously. If you went there, you'd have a blast.
Oh yeah, no doubt. So there you go. That's a good racecation place destination
Absolutely.
to find. And with that being said, you know, we can talk about somebody else who's not right.
Not right in the head, not right in the shorts, not right in any state, and just not
Banned
right.
for most of them.
Yeah. Without further ado, here is Songer Says.
Alright, so something's been really eating at me lately, and it's these guys that help out or pit help or think they're a great race car crew chief, or the people in the stands who think they know how to drive a damn car. And they'll tell you, oh, you should have done this, or you should have done that, or you should have put this there, or you should have waited a few more laps, or you should have went a little sooner. Really? What's your credentials? What have you driven and what have you won? Not a damn thing. You're the guy who sits there because 1, you either ain't got the balls, 2, you ain't got the money, or 3, you just don't have the talent to do it, but yet you can tell us how we should drive and what we should do and how we should make it work and what would have worked and how what we do isn't working. And quite frankly, it pisses me off. Until you've been out there and you're sitting in that seat with 24 other jackasses and you have to do the reaction time and you have to see it all, then shut the hell up and don't be coming telling me how to drive a race car or tell anybody else. I've seen people tell people how to drive and they were fast as hell that night. And then somebody else is telling them how to drive and what would have happened if they'd have done this and what would have happened. I don't give a shit. I don't need your input. I don't want it. If I wanted it, I'd have said, hey, what do you think I should have done there? And then you could tell me. But Johnny know everything. I don't need it. So if you're so great, hey, guess what? I'll put you in my car. You can come drive it and we'll see how many you win. Or I'll put you in the guy's car that you're saying is not doing it the right way. And we'll see how many races you win. But the answer will be 0. Because there's a reason why you don't do it. Now, if a guy who used to race wants to come down and was pretty successful and tell somebody what they did wrong or how to do it, I usually listen, because they probably know, because they sit in the seat. They know how it's done. I'll listen to them, but these Johnny know-everythings, I just can't take it anymore.
Oh, good old Songer.
Gotta love it.
You gotta love him. So, you know.
Well, maybe not after you guys see the show that airs, you know, on Monday. So you guys might not love me anymore, but I think you will.
We'll see.
Anyways.
Anyways, one of the biggest racing events coming up, even though the dirt tracks are winding down, some of them are done for the year, one of the biggest annual racing events of the year, the Racing with the Stars.
Yep, we've been talking about it every week.
Every week, and actually, we'll be having, we have video on my Facebook, I don't know if you saw that, with the trophies and the championship belt, and then everybody this year, everybody in the top 10 gets a plaque or a trophy. I thought of Jamie's everybody. So
way back to just participation trophies like you.
Well, the winner gets the world championship belt. Second and third place get the 2 nice trophies. 4th through 10th get a little plaque about this tall. Well, I got to thinking if Jamie Songer was to make the Racing with the Stars A feature, he might as well get a participant in something. So,
oh my God.
You know, thanks to Baker Brothers Racing, Trevor and Corey Baker.
Those guys are great.
Awesome guys. At the Cornerstone Classic, I had a guy walk up with his 4-year-old son, Xander Rounds. Josh Most from Edge Chassis, first of all, will donate $50 cash to the highest finishing celebrity driver and highest finishing general public driver in the A feature. But Xander Rounds, the 4-year-old son of Chris Urin, donated $25 to the highest non-qualifying general public racer.
It's awesome.
That's awesome. So even if you don't make the feature, somebody's going to get $25 back.
Yeah.
That is just awesome. November 1st, we're still getting some celebrities signed up. Go to the 8th annual Racing with the Stars on Facebook. You can't miss it. There's all the rules, the format, and everything's there. Are you coming this year?
I don't know. Am I a celebrity? Are we celebrities, or are we working?
I'm not even a celebrity.
No,
I've only got
you know,
1 or 2 spots open.
I don't know, but hey, that's
Yeah.
me. I'll be there. One way or another, I'm always there.
Yeah. One thing that I did get asked a lot of this year, 2015, there is no silent auction.
Oh, not?
There is not. With the new format that we're running out this year, we didn't know if we were going to have time for the silent auction.
That's true. You do have a time crunch, so.
We have a time crunch. We have a new format. I'm thinking this format, my gut instinct tells me we're going to finish earlier this year than what we ever have, because there's total 53 races. That's
Right.
it. And because of that, and the way it's being structured even more so, next year, 2016, if I can save about 30 minutes to 45 minutes on the show, we'll liable to have the silent auction back.
That's always a big money getter.
It is a big money getter.
Hard to get rid of.
But the last couple of years, the silent auction at the end of the event has taken quite a bit of time away from the
Well,
track.
if you quit letting Songer do the microphone work, it wouldn't take as long.
Yeah, but the Songer's
And
credit,
the
he
thing
did
is,
good.
he sold about 50 items to Cooney, I think. So.
Well, it doesn't matter who got what.
I know it, but
yeah. Yeah, I still have visions of Songer kissing Cheryl Mousefield. That was just hilarious. I'll actually have to try to find a picture of, Cooney kissing Cheryl, and that was disturbing.
Weren't you kissing a pig?
You had to bring that up.
I did.
Everybody.
I don't think Smoky Bacon's the same.
No, Smoky Bacon probably can't come this year, but just because of the codes and regulations.
Yeah.
Last year Smoky was about this tall. This year Smoky's about this big, so we can't do much with Smoky this year. Sadly, but Shaylee Baden will be there.
Yep.
Hopshite, he'll be there. There's going to be some good drivers, so come on out November 1st. Can't wait to see you. The Holiday Horsepower Drives visit to the hospital, I don't have a calendar in front of me, but that's usually the first Saturday before Christmas. People are already lining up, wanting to go to
we
that
talked
hospital.
about this last week too while you were gone. I mean, that's one of those things, not everybody can go to the hospital, but if you get the chance to go to the hospital, take it, because it will definitely be a life-changing thing that will change you inside for a long, long time, if not forever. So.
Yep. All right, so with this being said, now that I'm back in the seat for my vacation,
And I'm back in my seat.
creative element, you guys are really gonna. I don't know if it's gonna be next week or if there's a show coming out a week after. I don't know, but there's a bloopers reel.
That's next week, isn't it?
Or is it next week? It's week after.
Okay.
So next week is gonna be Aaron's behind the camera going, "Come on,
Yeah.
guys."
I already told you this. Don't you listen?
Yeah, typical
No.
guy. We don't listen. So next week is going to be the last weekly show for the Slingin Dirt, and then the week after you want to watch it, because Aaron from Creative Element is saying it's going to be really, really funny, the bloopers reel.
Yeah, and we have no idea when they're.
We have no idea.
running and
I'm
not
letting
running,
them. Yeah,
So,
we're both going to be thrown under the bus on this one.
yeah, but we probably deserve it.
Yeah, it'll be funny though. So
It will be.
yeah. So next week, I think. Next week we're going to be doing the Champions Run.
Yep.
We're going to be showing the national champions, pictures, car stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys have pictures, get them to us ASAP, because Aaron's going to be like, don't wait until Monday to give me the pictures.
Right.
Give me the pictures now, because I don't need Aaron blowing my phone up going, what in the hell are you thinking, bud?
It's not a
So,
good thing.
No, we don't make Aaron and James Palmer Creative Element mad.
No.
They make us look good, so. But yeah, next week it's going to be the Champions Run, so. And then we actually I don't even plan on talking a whole lot. I told Aaron, just do a musical montage in the background and just let the pictures run.
Yeah, I don't think we need to talk about it. That much.
No. So, well, there you go. We'll
what
be
the hell
back.
do we know anyway?
Yeah, I don't even know springs until
No.
yesterday. So, alrighty. Well, this has been this week's episode of Slingin' Dirt. We'll be right back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel with the same bat crazy morons. We'll see ya.